What's up? It's Jeremy Picker from Amber Creative.
This is Deanna with In the Zone Inc. and Print Girl Mafia.
This is Ray Weiss with Printing the Night of the Lion.
You're listening to the Two Regular Guys podcast.
Hosted by Terry Combs RG, Regular Guy, and Aaron Montgomery.
The place to be for industry news.
The best dad jokes on earth, along with relevant topics to apparel decorators.
Fashion to the people.
All right, welcome into the show. It is Friday, October 3rd, 2023. I'm Terry Combs, and you can find me at terrycombs.com.
And I'm Aaron Montgomery from our Success Group and also American Print and Supply. And Terry, this week, people might be able to notice we are in hotel rooms. So this is actually recorded. It's not actually October 3rd yet, but we're
It's the future.
We're time traveling, maybe, So we are both here in Dallas. I think Eric is somewhere here in Dallas as well, just having Wi-Fi issues in the same hotel that I'm in, but poor guy.
Maybe you're on a higher floor and you're closer to the
penthouse
to
or
the internet.
But there is like a bar up on the top floor of this hotel. I actually did think to suggest that we all just try to film it there. We've done that before.
We have done that before. And I did look a few minutes ago and realized that I'm like 800 feet from your hotel.
Nice. All right. Well, we are coming to you from the Impressions Expo in Dallas, Texas. So again, this is recorded, but we've got some great information today, Terry, that we were talking about that I think is going to be really helpful for apparel decorators. I know even just for me thinking about this stuff and looking at this stuff was like, that could hold people back. That's held me back in the past. So we're going to be talking about some myths that are holding decorators back. And I will try not to use too many Adam and Jamie references from a fantastic show called Mythbusters.
Exactly right. Perfect. Well, make sure everybody stays till the very end for the secret sauce. Aaron's going to be bringing the sauce today, and he's going to encourage us to stop shoulding ourselves.
Yes. Thank you for reading that clearly, Terry. We didn't want to have to edit it. Terry's not cursing. I won't be cursing either. Yes, it is a real thing. So, and on the flip side of the news here, we will also be bringing in our great friend, Eric Campbell, who is also here in Dallas with us. Funny part is we're doing this show and none of us have seen each other in person yet here at the show, but coming soon, right? So we'll see how this does. But I mentioned the news. We do have Cassie, who has recorded a news segment for us here. So, Terry, if you're ready, we can do the news.
Let's hear from Cassie.
Hello, all of you regulators, and happy Expo month. Of course, we are really getting amped up for Printing United Expo taking place October 22nd through 24th in Orlando. If you're going to be there, come find me. But until then, I have a couple headlines to share with everybody this week. First up, NASDAR opens new Texas distribution center in Grapevine. NASDAR recently marked what the company is calling a major milestone in its strategic growth with the ribbon-cutting ceremony of a new Dallas area distribution center in Grapevine, Texas. The company states that this serves as a key step in enhancing service capabilities across the South Central U.S. Spanning nearly 20,000 square feet, the facility is designed to support customers throughout Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, and Arkansas. The new location will significantly improve regional access to NASDAR's industry-leading products and services, the company noted in a press release. It will also include a dedicated demo center to host customer events, hands-on training sessions, and collaborative engagements. So make sure you guys follow the link shared with all of you if you want to learn more about that. The second headline I have for everybody this week: Stitch It International appoints Blaine Austin as Vice President of Sales and Strategy. So Stitch It International announces the appointment of Blaine Austin as VP of Sales and Strategy. In this role, Austin will oversee all aspects of sales development, dealer relations, and strategic growth initiatives. Austin joins Stitch It with more than 3 decades of leadership experience across retail, e-commerce, and distribution. Most recently, he served as CEO at sewingmachinesplus.com while also overseeing 2 successful retail superstores in Southern California. Previously, he held executive leadership roles at allbrands.com, bbqguys.com, and Orec Corporation. So that's everything I have for all of you this week. Back to you, Aaron and Terry.
All right.
That's awesome. The Masdar was my primary supplier back in my days in Kansas City. Their North American corporate offices are right there in Kansas City, a huge facility, and glad to see them expanding even more. Great company.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we appreciate Cassie, especially during Expo Month, taking some time to record that for us, and really awesome to see. And I'm glad that everybody's excited over there. And yeah, so Terry, this is normally where we would interact with the regulators, but we're going to have to interact with the regulators at a post date here.
Right.
So we are going.
I can interact. I feel like I'm pirate radio. My setup in this hotel room, and I wasn't at the show today. I know Eric was doing a seminar today, and you were helping booth set up, and I rock starred in. I showed up at the show 5 minutes till 5, but I did my setup here. I've got things stacked up with the lights on here. My laptop is sitting on top of the ice chest or the ice bucket in my room. And so, you work with what you got, but
that's right.
Like a 1960s pirate radio.
There we go. We'll have to take some photos of our setups here in our hotel rooms and see who's got what happening there. So, all right.
It is, by the way, it is 9:30 at night here. Actually, you guys are watching us during the day. So they're when we do the night show, sometimes we'll have a cocktail. So
cheers to that.
Cheers.
Yeah. All right. Well, Terry, so we do still want to bring you the best dad jokes on the planet, according to Cassie. So I think I got a pretty good one here if you're ready. And Eric has arrived. So Eric, if you want to push the buttons whenever you're ready, sir. Hey, Terry. So I am reading a new book about anti-gravity.
Oh, what's that like?
Well, it's impossible to put down.
That is a pretty good one.
That's okay. I even gave the visual of that. So, yes, I apologize in advance to readers everywhere. But yes, fantastic book, Terry.
Very nice. All right. Before we dive in, we want to thank everybody for checking out the Two Regular Guys podcast. We need your voices still. We would love to have the regulators participate in show intros. Go to osg.link/intro, read a few sentences, be a part of every show. Do not be left out. We are always looking for new guests. So if you or anyone you know would like to join us, go to calendly.com/2, the number 2, regular guys to book a future episode, or email us at info@tworegularguys.com with your show ideas. If you are listening to us right now on the podcast version of the show, we would appreciate you sharing the Two Regular Guys podcast with all of your industry friends so they can become regulators too. We would appreciate you giving us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Podcast, YouTube Podcast, wherever you do your podcast listening, we are there. And normally I'd say if you're watching us live right now, join in with your comments and your questions, but get back to us later.
Yeah, exactly. You can still comment, and we will definitely pop in there and reply and keep the conversation going throughout the week, but we won't be able to interact with you live right now. But who we can, I believe. Now, we're going to see how the Wi-Fi is coming. Let's test it out at least, Eric. Let's see if you can come in and what that... Hello, sir. How are you?
Hello. We'll see. My setup is likewise janky, as is Terry's. So hopefully you guys can hear me, and hopefully it's not too bad.
Yeah, no, I hear you just fine. So Terry, you good?
Okay.
Yeah, you sound great,
Yeah,
Eric.
I am pasted together from like my hotspot on my phone. I've got stuff plugged in everywhere. Things are up on shelves just the same as yours. Thing is, I brought some equipment and some of it failed. So we're
Well,
still there. We're still making it happen.
Nice.
yeah, I didn't want to have to check a bag, so I traveled sparingly.
I think I'm on a world tour here where I'm going to a couple other locations before I head back home. And I think, sadly, a visit to the old Best Buy is going to be in my future, whether I like it or not.
Yeah, awesome. All right, well let's dive into this, you guys. We'll hit as many of these points as we can. The idea here is to talk about myths that hold decorators back. We kind of got a list, but I think really just want to, why don't I do this? Why don't I put one of the points out there, and then we can just each of us talk about it a little bit, and just kind of round robin here a little, and go from there. Again, if you guys are listening in the comments section, go ahead and put your comments in. Some myths maybe you've heard that after some experience just aren't true, right? And I think a lot of these things, Terry, you and I, and Eric, you probably have too, things that we've heard at these trade shows, things that maybe even we thought were true at one point. I know a few of these things on there, we're kind of like, yeah, that makes sense to me at that point, right?
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Yep. All right. Well, then if you guys are ready, I'm going to start the speed round. We're going to go right into the speed round, right?
All right, let's do it.
Kidding. All right. So the first one, Terry, is I have to compete on price, right? I have to be the lowest price. Race to the bottom, right?
Exactly. I have to tell you, when you said, we hear these things at trade shows, this first one is the one that I have heard the most. And it usually goes something like this. In Grapevine, Texas, you can't get more than $15 for a T-shirt. And I just picked that because NASDAQ is opening there. So, but, in my classes, I make a point of saying, you can be the price person, you can be the quality person. Don't be the price person. Do good work, deliver on time, and people will pay a premium for that. Right. I will repeat a not a story, but a phrase. There are lots and lots and lots of screen printers. There aren't very many good screen printers. People will pay for quality work. So that's my take on price. And that's been my modus operandum. Is that the correct phrase?
Yep, you got it.
Ever since, I started my business and I didn't know how to price. And then about a year after I started my business, I had twins. And that's when I realized, you have to make money doing this. So, pick up the hour.
Yeah. Hey, we always know about the art projects, right? Everybody likes to take those on. But the other thing I think that's kind of a corollary to that is that the people who are going to pay you the most and most reliably are often the ones who want the extra mile. And I've found that it's not always worth chasing the bottom 25% that you're going to get or more, where it's like you're spending so much more effort on these customers that want to pay you the least and constantly drag down the amount that they're paying. Whereas it's often better to chase those customers who are willing to pay and spend that effort somewhere else. So it's not only just, hey, they won't pay that here. I'm like, well, maybe you need to find where it is that those customers pay that and, apply yourselves there, especially in a world like today's world where we don't have to sell only in our backyard.
Yep.
Well, Aaron, you could do a whole show on this. So what's your take?
Yeah. I've done whole seminars on this for sure. I like you, Terry, have heard that 100 times. How many hundreds of thousands of times? Probably. Nobody in my town will pay that, right? And I used to just like, I hated that question or hated that comment, right? But I've kind of actually come to enjoy it because I just ask them a return question. I say, oh, so you're telling me in your town, no one has a pair of Nike shoes? I look down and go, well, you've got a pair of Nike shoes on, or if it's a young lady, oh, nobody's got a designer handbag, right? Like if somebody is willing to pay for a pair of Nike shoes, a designer handbag, they're willing to pay for something that's more than just its kind of stock value, right? The utility value of it, right? You could go get the Velcro shoes and, pay, $20 for them, less than $20 for them. Or you can be like my son and spend $300 on a pair of Nike shoes, right? So the reality is somebody in your town will pay that. You just haven't found them because you talk about your product in such a way that they don't value it, right? And so, the quick tip that I always give people is, first off, go look at all your marketing material, go look at your website and do a search for any time you've used the word just, J-U-S-T. Mm-hmm. And you're going to find where you're talking down about, you're minimizing your product or service, Right.
So you think your product is only worth $15. That's
wow.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's huge.
Yep.
Class I had this morning, I had to do the same thing where it's like, I'm telling people, stop apologizing for embroidery and selling it as worse print. I'm like, don't apologize for what it does. Sell it for the best things it does. And it's all the product is like that.
Oh, that's
tons of people are selling things as they're imagining it as this cheaper thing, as this thing that isn't worth that much. And of course they can't message it right.
Yeah. Yep. Good point, Eric. All right. Well, let's keep going. Yes. As Terry said, this is probably something we could spend, and we probably have, let's be honest, in 615 shows, we've probably done a whole price show at least once or five.
I know we have.
If you guys want us to come back with more on pricing, please let us know in comments. We will put together another pricing show for you. But the next one, though, you guys, is, well, you know what? And this is funny. I laugh about this one, Terry, because you and I spent so many years together selling equipment. You've been selling equipment for a long time. I'm getting back into that game a little bit. I don't sell it personally, but I'm involved with a company that does, right? And I want them to do well.
We know people who do.
Exactly. But the reality is, if I just had more equipment, right, I could be successful. I've got the machines that have got dust in the back that, but that next piece, that next tool is going to be the savior of my business. So who wants to dive into that one first?
Well, you know what, Eric, why don't you go first?
Have me go first. I'll take it. Because here's the thing I found is that it's always that, okay, if something's difficult, if we're having problems selling it, then we're like, oh, we must not have the right product. Now, don't get me wrong. There are times where a customer base is asking for a product like crazy, and they really are just telling you, yeah, you have print, I want embroidery. Yeah, you have embroidery, I want print. If you would just add that, I would order more. That's kind of like in the bag. You do have a large client base that's all asking you for something and they trust you. Awesome. If you don't have that, or if you haven't tried to figure out where you're going to sell it or why you're going to sell it, just simply magically having a different decoration, maybe it's not going to make you an expert in it or know how to market it. You just got to have a little more thought to that in it. I think often when I see that, it's more like, hey, I took on embroidery and it's really hard and there's some technical stuff that I wasn't prepared for. And I think heat press is where it's at now. And I'm like, I get it. I've had your day. I know what's up. But it's not going to just magically fix the problems you have with marketing or with all the business side of this thing or with the technicality of the decorations you're choosing. I mean, can it help? Sure. I think most embroiderers should have heat press, at least, if not something else. But like you said, if nothing else, it's just not magic, not even when you do have customers asking for it. Yeah. You're still going to have to ramp up. You're still going to have to spend time and effort and money getting up to speed.
Yeah, for sure. Go ahead, Terry.
Yeah. Well, I think that my answer to that would be get really good at the equipment you already have.
Yeah.
And focus on that. And, if you have I'll use a screen printing explanation again. If you just have one 6-color press, you can have a successful business with that if you know how to use it properly. And, we talked about on this show many times before, talking to somebody at a trade show who says, hey, I'm looking at your piece of equipment here. I already bought a laser engraver and I bought an embroidery machine. And my wife's over there. She's looking at a direct-to-garment printer, and I'm like, wait, you're buying all this at the same time?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. We want to have a full-service shop. Do you know how to use any of it? No, not at all. And I'm like, pick one thing, and then come back here next year and pick the other one. And invariably, when you see those folks a year later, so how'd that go? Well, we haven't actually used any of the screen printing equipment yet. We haven't actually plugged in the embroidery machine yet, but we think we're getting pretty good at direct-to-garment printing. And don't bite off more than you can chew. It's not more equipment. Get good at what you have, and just like Eric was saying, expand when you need to expand.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
How about you, Aaron?
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that's a perfect segue for what I was thinking about too. Is because the other question that I think we get a lot, I believe all of us get this question a lot, is, well, how do I know when I need to upgrade, when it is time to invest in that piece of equipment? And honestly, as a business owner, the real answer, the best answer, is when your business can afford it, right? When, as Eric said, when your customers are asking for it, and you've got the business to do it, and your business has got the profit stored away to do that, right? I mean, that's the ultimate time that really makes sense as a business investment. I know that that's not always possible, and I know there's reasons why you want to get into something, but the reality is, if you've not planned for upgrading, for adding, for going to that next thing, you're gonna have a hole to dig out of. And as a business owner, that's a tough place to be. So, I don't necessarily. Yeah, I think that, like you guys said, having another piece of equipment is probably not the answer. It's getting really good at what you've got, improving your marketing message, spend a little time working on your business instead of always in it. And you're going to see some things turn at that point instead. So yeah. All right. 100%. Well, I don't know if we're doing good or not. We're getting to the third one here. They're bullet points. They're not even numbered. That's how we're going to get through this. But anyhow, we'll keep going. All right. If I take every penny I have out of savings and buy equipment, the world will be a path to my door. So I'm going to throw this one to you first, because I know that that's something that you've said, and I've heard you talk about people telling you that.
Did you say Eric or me?
No, I meant to say Terry. So
okay, I didn't quite hear, but
maybe vodka talking.
It makes you feel bad, because somebody will come to your booth and say, yeah, I've got $14,000 in my savings account. And so what do you have that's $14,000? I'm like, you understand you have to buy shirts, and you're going to have to buy supplies, and you're going to have to, pay some bills along the way. Are you sure this is the way you want to approach this? And unfortunately, we see it time and time again, or totally maxing out credit cards and everything to start a business. And I get, that's the entrepreneurial spirit, but, there are expenses that you need to plan for beyond putting every dime you have into equipment. I'm sure you guys have thoughts on this as well.
Yeah. Go ahead, Eric.
Oh, honestly, you kind of took the words out of my mouth. I'm like, so about operating capital. You're going to have some, and on top of it, you're sitting there going like, so how about your personal bills? How about your mortgage? Are you good? Like, is this all money you had in your rainy day fund, or is this literally like your savings, your cash, what's on hand? So I'm like, you're just not going to make it work. And on top of it, I'm like, there's such a wide variety, especially at this kind of moment we are in the industry, for saying, hey, instead of buying, let's say, the DTF printer, you can have somebody make you transfers and buy one nice heat press and get into this business for a really low amount. You don't necessarily have to go top shelf. And even in my little portion of the industry, sometimes it's a dirty word to talk about like the Chinese import machines or the other kinds of machines that are out there, but there are cheaper entry level machines that if you just wanted to dip your toes and you're not in the big market, but you have that entrepreneurial spirit, that you could give it a shot. It's not perfect, because sometimes that means more costs on things, or having to be your own DIY tech and things like that. And that's scary. But if somebody's bound and determined, I'm like, awesome, but let's make sure you have capital and you're going to make your next mortgage payment before we do this stuff. And honestly, as sellers, I hope that most of us aren't looking at that person who's counting out, disheveled $100 bills, and we're not saying, okay, yeah, just hand me all that and I'll figure something out.
That reminded me of the time I brought a whole bunch of $1 bills back from Atlantic City at a trade show and handed it to my accountant to say, hey, here's some cash we took from the show. And she was like, I'm not touching that until somebody gets me a pair of gloves. And I said, reasonable. I mean, I've had it in my backpack for 2 days, but okay.
But they are Atlantic City ones. That's not great.
Yes.
Great.
Yeah. Anyhow, that's a story that's, I know this is an after hours recording and all, but we'll keep that for even darker after hours. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think you guys nailed every bit of that. So I don't think I've got a whole lot to add to that. All right, let's get to the next one then. I don't know where to start, so I'll just roll the dice and hope for the best. Either of you guys want to take that hot take first?
I'll jump on that. Learn about the business. don't just roll the dice. You weren't just talking about Vegas, but take some classes and go to a trade show and go to every seminar that you can get yourself into a seat in and learn about the business. Talk to people. Talk to other people sitting in your row at the trade show, waiting for seminars to start.
Yep.
And learn everything you can about the business. And something I figured out early on when I started my business, because I didn't know what I was doing either. I bought Scott Fresner's book, How to Print T-Shirts for Fun and Profit. But I just devoured information. I would literally go from one trade show seminar to the next, to the next, to the next. And I was using the full-size legal pads. I'd made so many notes, but then I realized as my business was starting to grow that the other screen printers in town weren't doing the same thing. They weren't learning about the business. They weren't learning how to do new things. They weren't experimenting with specialty inks and things like that. And I passed them all up because they didn't spend any time educating themselves. So get an education as best you can before you dive in.
Yeah, that's great. Eric, your thoughts?
The other half of that is it's not just the business side of this thing, or at least not just the in the business side of this thing. You got to make sure the on the business side is in here too. So make sure you know enough about operating business and also your market. Get out there and talk to the people you intend to sell to. If it's your local market, if it's a special niche hobby, if it's whatever it is, get out there and learn more about them before you start, because then you'll be able to identify these holes that need to be filled in product lines that they aren't getting served. Especially, you can find yourself an underserved group of people with money in their hands. Look for that too. I think honestly, I don't want to say business plan because I think I'm going to invoke Aaron's need to talk about business plans here in a minute. I know it's coming.
Eric, we're going to talk about that.
I know it's
We're going to get to another bullet point.
Yeah, I know, for real. But at the same time, you need not a business plan, and part of that is also who you selling to. What do you think you're going to tell them when you try and explain what's good about your business and your product? And that's also important. So it's not just learn how to make the thing. It's remember that eventually you intend to sell the thing for some sort of money. You're going to have to know how to handle that money and where you're selling to.
Yeah. You guys want the 5 things you need in your business plan? All right. No, we don't need to go. You guys have heard me talk about business planning plenty on Two Regular Guys. I'm happy to talk about it more at a later date. But yeah, I think, Eric, you're exactly right here, right? What Terry said, education, so key, foundational. But I definitely have seen the other side of that too, right? Like not the other side of it, like we go getting so much education, right? Like I've watched every YouTube video. Like Terry said, go to the trade show, talk to people, but then start getting into it, right? Like, and business plan is a great way to kind of map things out, right? Like I will give you the quick 5 things, right? We need to know what our goals are. We need to know the relationships we're going to have around it. We need to understand our numbers, how much it costs and what our pricing strategy is going to be. And we need to have our processes, some idea of how we're going to run our business. But then most importantly, why? Why are you starting this business to begin with? Yeah. Right. So, anyhow. I think we've covered that pretty well, but there's that balance, right? And trust me, I am a huge advocate of getting as much education as you can get. But I run into a lot of people that, they're scared and they just continue. Oh, I don't know enough yet. Right. So it's not.
Well, can I give one quick
please.
story? I had somebody call me up one time who had been to my screen printing class and said, hey, I was, well, it always starts with, I know you don't remember me, but I was in your class 3 years ago and I'm getting out of the business. And I just wanted to know if you could help me sell my equipment, maybe mention it in one of your classes. And I'm like, well, I'm really sorry you're getting out of the business, but I would be happy to do that. And she said, she goes, well, make sure you mention it's all brand new. And I said, wait, you were in class 3 years ago and all your equipment's unused? And she goes, yeah. And I said, well, what have you been doing for 3 years? And she said, market research. She had been studying, just like you're saying, Aaron, she'd been studying the market for 3 years to the point where she never actually printed a shirt. So don't be that person.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Paralysis by analysis. There is a limit.
And then are we doing the drinking game where if Terry's told the story, we drink? Is that how?
I don't think you'll survive.
I only have one drink. Okay.
That's not safe.
Love it. All right. Hey, so the next 2 bullet points I'm going to put together if you guys are good with that. I know that really messes you up, Eric, with your banner, so don't worry about it. You can play
all good.
YouTube is the answer to all of life's and businesses' problems, or you get your education from your supplier sales rep for everything you need to get started because they're clearly the experts. So I'm going to also throw this to you, Terry. So you can.
I have very, very strong feelings about.
Yes, I know you do. That's why we're going to
about this. YouTube is all well and good, and there's lots of good information on there, but there's probably an equal amount of really bad information on YouTube. And if you're a newbie, you don't know the difference. And get ready to drink. I'm going to tell the story. I got to the point where I wasn't telling people that you don't need to flash between colors when you screen print. Now, every class I have, 1, 2, 3 people raise their hand and go, aren't you going to flash that? And I'm like, well, no. Well, on YouTube, they said you print a color and you flash it. You print a color and you flash it. I'm like, YouTube is wrong. That is, I always say to people, hey, find the best way for you. That's not the best way. That is a Band-Aid. That's for people who don't know what they're doing. So, yeah, very, very strong feelings. So go out and get some reliable, trustworthy information. Then go back to YouTube and pick and choose what you're going to believe or what you're going to accept as the gospel.
Yeah. Well, Terry, the reliable information is that sales rep. They're the expert.
Yeah, that's not true either.
Okay.
No offense to any supplier, but they sell screen printing equipment, they sell embroidery equipment, they sell laser printers, they sell sign equipment. None of those people is an expert in all of those things. And so, I had somebody come up to me at a DAX trade show and say, hey, can you take a look at the list that my sales rep offered me this is everything I'm going to need to start my screen printing business. And I'm like, sure, I'd be happy to. And I'm like going through the list going, no, you don't need this. No, you'll never use that. You don't need this. Was that sales rep trying to get more money out of them? Probably not. I mean, possibly.
Yeah.
But
50-50.
They don't know. So throw it all in there.
Yeah. Yeah. It was on the quote that somebody up the road made. Business in the box. Okay. Eric, what's your take on YouTube University?
Here's what I'll say. Beyond YouTube University, I do want to mention on the sales rep front, there are more companies who are hiring on experts that are specific to one decoration or another. But here's the thing, it's really easy to find out if they are or not. Ask them how they got there. If you ask the person who's telling you about your embroidery machine, what embroidery they've done or what shop they were in or what work they did, the ones of us who have been out there can't wait to tell you all the stupid stuff we did, and can't wait to tell you how we got better at it, and can't wait to tell you about all the different samples and stories about what shit stuff we worked on and everything else. So the truth of the matter is, you'll know really quickly if somebody goes, "Oh, well, I got trained on the machine last week when they brought it in." That is a very different world than if they do hire an expert, and that can be the case. And honestly, your YouTubers are the same thing. Ask your favorite YouTuber doing a live, how did you get here? Why are you teaching this? Where are you from? And you'll find out what their background is, and that may or may not lend credence to what they're saying, or you may just find out what segment they're in, so where their best information is going to be.
Yeah.
If they're in the same segment you want to be in, they're more likely going to have information that's germane to you. But I still think, yeah, sometimes you go to the trade shows a couple times first, get some other information, find some stuff that's been vetted, and start from there so you have a basis of knowing what's going on. But you're right, you can't just eat whatever's fed to you when you get your pick list.
Yeah.
Well, there's a fairly well-known YouTube screen print guy that attended one of my screen printing classes, and the guy barely lifted his head from his phone the entire time. Now, when we would go out on the floor, he would take videos of himself standing at a press, but he didn't take a single note and barely raise his head. So that's an example of what you're seeing out there. More interested in clicks than sharing any real information with you.
Yep. All right. Well, I don't know if you guys saw the light bulb go off above my head while Eric was talking, but I think I'm going to take my 15 minutes of embroidery experience and go turn it into an embroidery supplier job career. I can, I feel like got this
totally.
Yeah.
You know that the thread goes through the pointy thing. You're good.
Yeah, exactly.
You'll be fine.
Even though I really don't like needles at all. Like, all right.
This is true, dude. This is true. I don't know if it's for you, my friend.
Probably not the career for me. All right. So can I do another where I put two together, because it does actually part two in this one?
Yes.
The guy who is selling me his business and equipment says he'll teach me everything. Oh, and by the way, he says that's what it's worth. That's how you price the product. Here's my price list from 1982.
Yeah,
this is what I paid new for that equipment. It's only gone up in value.
That's right. So, Terry, I'm going to throw this to you again, and then.
Well, yeah, in both things, unless that person is retiring and they've had a very successful career, why are they selling you their business and their equipment? First off, is that the person you want to learn from? So, it's kind of like YouTube, but it's in person, because if they didn't make a success of that business, they're probably not the most efficient at what they're doing. Yeah. And as for what it's worth, I couldn't tell you how many times I've gotten phone calls from somebody saying, "Hey, I'm getting ready to buy this guy's shop. Can I send you the list of what he has?" And yeah, absolutely. And he's got 500 wood screens. I'm like, well, are they brand new? No, they have ink all over them, and they're probably worthless. Then a screen is a commodity; it's a consumable, and if he used it for more than a year, it's trash anyway. It's it's like an empty ink bucket. So sometimes you have to have a little bit of come to Jesus and explain things to these people, and it's like, but I'm leaving you with my best employee. And I've had classes where I'll see this couple and they keep looking at each other and they're making notes, and I'll stop the class and go, "Have you heard something different from this employee you were telling me about?" "Oh yes, we've heard many things that are different, and he won't be with us anymore come Monday." Anyway, you go out and ask somebody. There are lots of people like myself, like Aaron and Eric, who would be happy to say, "This embroidery machine, brand new, was this much, and it's 12 years old." So no, it's not worth 10% more than what they paid for it.
Yeah, for sure. And on top of it, I hate to say this, I've got to jump in on this one, because this one I actually have strong feelings on, because I've watched this happen too frequently. It's the same thing when one company buys another and they're like, oh, the owners are going to hang around for a while and they're going to teach me everything. And they're also giving me their entire contact list, which is definitely all going to be people who buy from me too. Um, it is of kind of, it's a pig and a poke. You don't really know what that value is till you get on top of it. And then on top of this, it's the same kind of thing I tell people when they're quitting some other job. How interested were you when you were quitting your job to hang around and make sure after you're done with what it is and after you've gotten paid and the money's in your pocket for your last week, to hang around and tell everybody how things work and make sure they're doing okay? Yes, it should be what we want to do as good stewards of a business we're passing on. But as you said, if somebody didn't have a great experience, you think once the check is in their hand that they're necessarily going to hang out and make sure you know everything. Uh, at the very least, keep some of that money back for the first couple of weeks and say, okay, I'm paying you this, but this last amount is for after the training, and I'm going to pay you for the training separately. But the truth of the matter is, it is hard to keep that motivation for a lot of people. And once they're done and they are short timing it out the door, you're going to find out that you can't get a hold of them real easy. They're like, oh, yeah, you can call me anytime from here until the end of time. I'm retired. I got more time. I'll be right there to help you out with everything. Let me tell you how many times I've watched somebody purchase a shop and then all of a sudden that number is just real hard to get somebody to pick up. It's not that everybody's like a bad actor, but they go on to something else. That's why they're trying to get out.
Yep.
So they're not necessarily going to be there for you. And then this whole thing about this was where Terry hit it on the head so hard. What I always hear is, but I paid this for it. And I'm like, that's cool. That's great that you paid that for it. You paid that for it 5 years ago. And as Terry said, you know, also depending on how long this thing's been out of service, I'm like, there may not be parts availability. You might, plus, believe it or not, some equipment, if it stays sitting for too long unused, you know, rubber belts stop, you know, holding up. Different parts haven't been oiled correctly for a very long time. They've been sitting there caked up with dust, depending on how they've been stored. You're going to have to kind of, you know, you're going to clean this thing up and make sure it's running in the first place. Let alone, I mean, okay, it hasn't been used very much. But it's been used by time. It's just out there rotting. Equipment runs better when it's being maintained and run frequently. I mean, or at least regularly. That's just the truth.
I have $5,000 worth of assorted T-shirts in every color imaginable and mostly small.
Yeah.
It's not worth $5,000 anymore. You will never use those shirts.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is so hard to use dead stock unless it really is something valuable. The funny thing is sometimes you wait long enough and the style will come back and now it's missing. And now it's worth more money, but you don't want to sit on it.
Yeah.
And here, just to put this last little twist on this for embroiderers, that box of thread, no matter how many cones, no matter how expensive that looks to you, that's been in somebody's shop for 10 years, is worthless. It's very likely brittle. Don't buy everybody's old thread collection. I know it looks great on that per cone price, but it's probably trash. Pick it up, see if it breaks easily. If it has a sniff of breaking without cutting into your fingers, then just please don't buy that stuff.
Yeah.
There are certain things that are meant to be consumables and don't do well if they're just left out somewhere to the end.
Yeah, used equipment is much better suited to somebody that's already in the business and knows what they're looking at.
Yeah.
Rather than
absolutely.
Because then you don't know when you started if you're doing it wrong or it's the equipment that's wrong. So yeah.
Well, and I think to that point, really quick, Terry, somebody, because when somebody that's already in the business is buying a business, they're not, they don't want the Rolodex or because even if you do have the contacts, you still are going to have to sell to them, right? At some point, right? So you can find those. Yeah. I think when you buy a business, if you can't use the equipment to enhance your business, it's probably going to be, you're way better off, going and buying something new where you get the education, you get the training, you get the support, you know, all that stuff. So, all right.
Old school embroiderers, don't get me wrong. I'll say one last thing. We absolutely ran out of used machines, but we already knew how to work on them. We already had techs in place, and it was just going to enhance our production capabilities. So absolutely, if you're somebody who already knows what you're doing, used machines make a lot more sense. And believe it or not, we ran some kind of not so awesome machines until we got the money back out of them. That's a thing you can do, but I surely wouldn't want to see somebody brand new start like that.
And I mean, I hear that at least once every trade show. I bought this person's business and I'm learning how to do it. It's like, wow. Okay. that's an uphill battle, but all
Sometimes
right.
you got to do it, but for sure. Yeah.
Yep. All right, let's keep going here. We may have to go kind of lightning round a little bit, but we'll see how we do. You need to accept every order that comes in to grow.
Lightning round, no.
No.
Yeah. I'll talk to this one real quick.
Okay.
Yes, the no is correct. Here's the other side. When we try to be all things to everyone, we end up being nothing to no one. You just can't get above the noise. And every order that you take, you are now beholden to that person to deliver value, regardless of how your business is set up, whatever their expectations are, right? And so I find that people that have this mindset, they end up struggling because they're spending so much time on the people that they probably regret doing business with, that they don't have the room or the time or the space to go find the business that's actually right for them.
Right.
And I've found that as business owners grow and get a little bit further along in their business, they find themselves saying no more often. And every time they say no, it's kind of like they're rewarded with a good job that comes right behind it, right? Like, but at early on, especially, everybody's saying, "Oh, I need every order," and that's actually going to put you behind. So
you're going to spend all your time trying to figure out how to do that order, and then the next order you're trying to figure out how to do it, and then the next order, and you never get any productivity that way.
Yep. All right.
And also, you actually still have to check that they're profitable. And I know it sounds like I shouldn't have to say that to people who are in business, but I can't tell you how many times I've seen really young decorators out there literally just scrambling for anything and discounting and fighting on price. And they're literally just taking jobs that move the machines around and don't make any money.
Yeah. Yeah. You're not going to, when you're losing money every time, you're not going to make up for that in volume.
It's still going to get
you. Ran a company that tried that and it didn't work out.
No.
All right. Small shops can't compete with the big online players.
I love this question because you can, and I have this conversation with people all the time. Well, you can get custom DTF transfers from Amazon now. They're going to put everybody out of business. No, they're not, because Amazon's never going to call your customer and say, this file isn't right, or you need to have a file that's higher resolution, or this color combination, you're going to hate it on this orange shirt. And they're just the folks at Amazon are just going to print it and ship it. And so you can always compete with those guys. You don't have to nickel and dime, and they're not nickel and diming, that's for sure. But they're never going to give that customer care that you can as a small business. So, and I couldn't tell you how many, how many times somebody has said that to me. It's like, oh no, there's a new screen printer in town. I can't compete. Yeah, of course you can compete. So.
Yep.
Also, you got to look for blue sky. You're right. You got to look for blue sky. There's stuff that Amazon won't do that you can't. There's stuff that the guy around the street corner won't do that you can. You just got to see where that is for you and compete on what's uniquely valuable about you.
Yep.
Also, I see tons of people who are in certain verticals that these bigger shops are not going to touch. Like I said, I've known a bunch of embroiderers who did bridal stuff, and you would think, okay, I've got this one person with 2 machines who's doing veils and they're not making money. The heck they're not. Their per price margins are ridiculous for each piece. It's ridiculous what that market will pay. If they learn that market very well, it's not being touched by a commodity decorator. There are always ways to be there. You just have to look a little harder than saying, I do everything. Yeah. That's the thing. If you're a commodity, if you're just a black box that shirts and money come in and decorations come out, then yeah, you'll have a hard time competing. But if you start to have specialties and if you treat people differently than the other guys do, you're going to have a vector to get in.
Yep, absolutely. All right. If I work harder and longer hours, eventually I will get ahead. More and more and more.
Eric, you want to go?
I mean, you need to work. You need to get things done. Ultimately, things need to get done. But there are also times where you need to back up off of busy work to make sure you're kind of attenuating to what's going on around you. and that you're adjusting the situations that they're in, that you know what's going on in the business. I can't tell you how many times, once again, I've seen a young shop grinding on orders, doing their thing, and then they start bringing things in or paying more people to get caught up because they do finally catch a little steam. But then you start to look and go, wait a minute, what did you sell these for? What's your profit margin on this? How many people you're paying to do this particular job that really should take fewer people? And you look at their actual balance, and once again, they're running I'll be nice, even though it's after hours to say, they're running the BS grinder. They're grinding the wheel, they're turning the crank as hard as they can. But if the output is zero profit, it's still zero profit no matter what they do. And sometimes, like Aaron said, they're hurting themselves. Longer hours for their own sake will not make things work. Working diligently at the right things will be good for you. You do have to do the work. Sometimes that means the overnights. Sometimes it means the crazy stuff if you're an entrepreneur, especially just getting started. But just pushing harder, especially if you're pushing at the wrong goals or at the wrong jobs, will not fix things for you.
Yeah, I know somebody right now, and he's a very good decorator, but he literally works 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now, this is somebody that, and what he did was what we talked about earlier. If I just had more equipment, he just actually bought more equipment. He was hampered by the facility he was in. He didn't have any more room. And so he was putting in all these hours because his customers were demanding more and more work from him because he does such good work. So, but he's resolving that by, he actually just invested in a much bigger building, and he has more equipment on the way, because every time I talk to him, I'm like, you're going to burn yourself out, and you're going to get to the point where you love what you do. You're going to start hating what you do. Yep. So you have to get some more balance in your life, and well, he spends time with his wife because she works there too, but it takes a little balance.
Yeah. You guys know that this is a huge thing for me. It's actually what our Success Group, my business, is built on, is how do we encourage people to love what they get to do each day, right? And that burnout is a real thing. My thing's always been slow down to speed up, right? You just have to take like Eric said, I'm not saying we don't need to work. Like I'm a workaholic. I know that, but I know how to find balance because I love what I get to do. And I realize that, the 80-20 rule applies. That first 20% of your effort is going to net you 80% of the results. And yet we want to go, 200%. And the reality is you're just wasting your time at that point. So slow down to speed up, have a business plan, know where you're heading, and you won't have to work more hours. You'll work the hours that you need to continue loving what you get to do.
And work on efficiency more than the grind.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. Don't just sledgehammer away. How can we make this better? Look for solutions. All right. Yeah, we're going to probably have a little bonus time even on a recorded show, but that's okay. I think we'll be all right.
Just speed it up.
We'll keep it tight.
Lightning round still, but we'll see. Trade shows and networking are just for vendors. It's not really for us decorators.
On what planet? On what planet is full of education, and also we need to meet the vendors? We need to go see what they have and talk to them and find out who our local reps are and stuff. I mean, don't get me wrong, a lot of that can be done online, but there really is an immediacy to it that you can't beat. And the education, I just taught a workshop, so it's hard for me to say I'm a totally clear, person on this. But let me tell you, we definitely don't get paid enough for it to be about the money. We are here to teach you. We want to be. You've got a lot of dedicated people who show up just to make sure you know what you need to know about your business and your process.
Yep.
Well, see, Setup Day is the networking for vendors. And as you guys know, coming out of COVID, where a lot of us hadn't seen each other in 3 or 4 years, it was like there were tears on Setup Day.
Yeah.
Everybody's going around hugging each other, but yeah, absolutely. This is the networking here for the decorators. And there are people that I know that I see every year at maybe the Long Beach show or some other show. and they go there just to shake hands with their vendors. They're groups of them, packs of them walking around, and they're from all over the country. They all meet together and talk about their shops and what they're doing in their businesses. And so, yeah, this is a tremendous opportunity for decorators to meet other decorators. Maybe you don't want to be best friends with the embroidery shop a block away from you, but there are going to be a lot of embroiderers here at this show this week that are not competing with you, that you can be best buds with.
Yeah, I love it. All right. Hiring employees just creates more headaches than it's worth. Terry, is that true?
It can be.
Okay, so interesting. So plausible.
Always ask for a show of hands. Who has employees already? And a few people raise their hand, and I'll be like, "Your life changed substantially that day, didn't it?" And they're like, "Yes." But then I follow it with, "You're never going to grow your business if you don't have employees and build systems and build training and things like that." But when I was in Kansas City, I had 75 production floor employees. I have heard every reason why someone can't come to work known to man. So, but you know, it's just an opportunity to grow your business without you standing there in front of a machine doing all the work, because that business is never really going to grow. It'll reach a plateau, but it's never going to go beyond that if you're doing it all yourself. So yes, it can be a headache, but it can be a blessing as well.
Yep. All right. I'll jump in here real quick and then throw it to you, Eric. So I actually, a couple of weeks ago, just did a Small Business Saturdays episode. Shameless plug. If you go to liveosg.com, you can check those out. Noon on Saturdays. I love talking about all things small business. Anyhow, we were talking about amplifiers, and this idea came from an article that I had read that this was an older article, but Jeff Bezos had talked about how he was able to do 390 years worth of work in 1 hour. And it was through this concept of amplifiers. But what he was talking about was, you know, he had at the time had 750,000 employees and all of the technology and automation and all of that other stuff. And so, as Terry said, if you want to grow your business, you know, having employees, having partners. One of my biggest things that I always talk about in our success group is the fact that success is a team sport. It really is, and it doesn't mean you have to have a ton of employees. But as Terry said, if you really want to grow, you know, you're going to have busy times, right? At minimum, having somebody that can help part-time, you know, those types of things. But I think hiring employees, yes, it can bring headaches if you don't have a process, right? I remember at a place that I was involved with, I was out helping out just because we were so buried for the fourth quarter. And I remember overhearing a conversation where somebody got put with somebody else and said, okay, learn from them. And then the person's like, okay, great. So what do I do? And the person that they were told to learn from is like, I actually just started yesterday, so I don't know. You know, so yes, you can make it cause headaches, but it can also actually be a very beneficial thing for your business.
Well, here's the bottom line, honestly. Even if you don't think that you're doing too much work, number one, there's only so much two hands can do. You just can't do more than you can do.
Yeah.
And you're not aware of that until you really push to the edge. And then number two, opportunity cost is real. If you're running a business and you're the owner, but you're also operating the equipment and you're also packaging the orders and there comes a point where it's like, okay, maybe you're feeding the machine, but then your sales keep dropping because no one's out there marketing or pushing while you're operating the machine. You can only really be in one place at one time. I know we all believe that we can task switch and be on 5 things, and the machines are automated enough that we don't need to sit with them and everything else. There's a little of that happens, but it's limited. And the more of it you do, the more thinly spread you are, and the less attention you can pay fully to any one of those things. There's just a limit. So eventually, if you are making the money you need to make doing it that way, and you feel happy and you're not crazy, that's a viable option for everybody else who needs to grow or who literally just doesn't want to spend their entire, as Terry was talking about the other fella, 12 hours a day, 7 days a week in front of the equipment. It's just a necessity. Are the headaches going to happen? Of course they are. It's interpersonal relationships. Welcome to
Yep.
being human since the last several tens of thousands of years. Interpersonal relationships are hard, but they're also pretty darn worthwhile. And we have people that we know, even if it's not always perfect, who gave us great memories in any one of these shops that we've been in. So remember, you're also living your life, and sometimes that's better with some partners.
Yep. Love it. All right. Last one, you guys. Let's see
We made
how
it
we
to
do.
the end.
Yeah, we're in
Yeah,
the
we almost made it.
We're going to do it. The customer is always right, even when they're wrong.
You want to go with that, Eric?
I've got.
No.
I was going to say I've got opinions here, so maybe I can go last. I don't know. You guys tell me.
Yeah, you can close it up. Yeah, I'll make it short and sweet. The customer doesn't know what we know about certain things, and sometimes they need to have us helping them get there. And also, if it turns out that they're going to have you doing things that are not good for your shop, that are not good for your business, and that ultimately will not please them, no matter what they tell you they're happy with. Sometimes you're just going to have to say no because they're making you put yourself in some kind of disadvantageous spot in the business or making you do something you're not willing to do. It's not right. You don't have to be with those folks. And frankly, if you have a customer where every single time they come up, you grit your teeth and groan and you hate doing the work for them, and on top of it, especially if it's not super profitable or you feel like you're always having to make excuses for it, fire them and get on your sales game. If you have any money in the kitty, that is a good customer to let go of because the likelihood is you can replace them with somebody that's better to work for.
Yeah, agreed.
It's just what it is. We have had this in our shops. I'll tell you very quickly. We had a customer that constantly brought in big giant boxes of custom supplied garments that were of every variety on earth, every thickness, every color, every stripe, all at once. And when we finally broke it down one time, they're like, "Oh, it's a lot of volume." We broke it down, and the amount of changes we had to do on the machines at all times, the color changes, the digitizing edits to deal with all the different fabrics, we were not making a cent, and we did it for like 10 years. Don't let 10 years pass before you say no to a customer who doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, love it.
Well, I'm with Eric. Don't be afraid to fire a customer. If you hate working with somebody, fire them. We're not going to have any additional production time available this next year, but here's a couple of folks I could recommend for you. But I will meet somebody halfway. That the person who calls up and says, "Here's what you're going to do to make this right." I usually start with, "Okay, that isn't happening, but I understand that there was a mistake made. Maybe I made it. If I made it, I'm going to take care of it. If you made it, I'm going to help you make it right. I might take a little bit of a hit to make it right, but I want your customer to be happy." And so I will one time with a customer work with them because they didn't look at the proof or they didn't read the copy or whatever it was. But no, and you just say, "This is what I will do to help you," and off you go. But never knuckle under to the demands of you are going to do this and this and this. I just flat out say, "Okay, that isn't happening, but let's go from there."
Yep. No.
Go ahead, Aaron.
Well, this is customer service, right? And so the common mindset is that the customer is always right, but the reality is that's not true, as you guys just clearly pointed out. And so to Terry's point, right, it's about finding a solution. It's about putting yourself in their shoes and having a little bit of empathy. I think small business owners get themselves in a bit of a pickle because they do have this idea that, I have to bend over backwards for my customers at all times. And the reality is that's not true. The good customer service is really about setting clear expectations, right? So if you don't have a designed business and here's what we're going to do, and here's why we're going to do it, and here's how we're going to do it, then you will be bending over backwards all the time. But if you set expectations, right, that my turnaround time is this is how we handle these situations, you set those policies and procedures in place. Now you can set expectations, and then good customer service is delivering on those expectations, or maybe even going a step above and over delivering on those expectations. But it's not about whether the customer's right or wrong. It's about setting clear expectations and then delivering on those expectations. If they feel like you didn't deliver on the expectations they had, it's not necessarily a right or wrong thing. Where did the communication break down, right? Where was I not clear that this was the case, right? And to Terry's point, right, if you make a mistake, yeah, make it right. But even if that is painful in the moment, right? Like hopefully you've designed your business in such a way that those painful moments aren't going to be the end of you. So anyhow, go ahead, Terry.
I know we're running long, but I have to tell you something that Harry Oster told me once, that he had someone who was selling refurbished T-Jets machines, and he said someone called him and said, "Will it fit in the back of my Ford Explorer?" And he said, and Harry said, "Well, yes, of course it will." And Harry's a car guy; he knows all the dimensions and things. And he said the guy was just yelling at him in the parking lot, saying, "Well, it won't fit." And Harry said, "Well, sir, when you said it to me, I assumed it would be empty." He had the whole car packed full of stuff. And that customer said, "Well, no, you lied to me. You said it would fit in here."
So clearly expectations were not met, but when customers have unrealistic expectations, yeah, it's a different ballgame. So all right, you guys.
And Harry will say to customers now, if they buy something from the show, he'll say, "Is it empty?"
That's funny. Wow. All right.
Once bitten, twice shy.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's close up here, guys. Can we flip the script here a little bit and have Eric start us off with what he's got coming up, and then I can share, and then Terry, you can kind of close, and then I'll get into secret sauce, and we'll be done for the evening here. All right. So, Eric, what's happening for you today, sir?
For me, I'm just gonna say, people look forward to the Take Up coming back on. I'll probably do a pre-record for this one. I'm just gonna let you guys know I'm traveling for like the next 10 days. I've got a couple different visits I have to make across the country. So as I'm doing that, what you're probably gonna see is pre-recorded content from me when I can get it out. The great thing is I'm going to give you a little bit of an update from the show and talk about the things that I get to see. I'm going to be on the show floor tomorrow. So at Impressions, if you are at the Dallas Impressions show, come up and say hi. Trust me, you'll find me. I'm gigantic. So I should say, if you see me out there, talk to me for sure. I'm tall in two directions, my man. I'm working on it, but it's still, you'll find me for sure. Suffice it to say, I'm going to be back with the Take Up doing that kind of update about the show. But I'm also, as we do this Technique Toolkit every year, we kind of retire them at the end of the year and go on to the next set of shows with new content. I'm going to share some of the content from this year's Technique Toolkit and do some live replays where I talk about the designs that we built as part of the mascot show. So I'm going to do that coming up here soon too. So look forward to it. Might not be exactly the same bat time, save bat channel as you're used to, but I'm going to try and get those out as I'm kind of on the road. So cool. Find that at ericcampbell.com and you'll see more on all of my socials. Look for my name spelled with a funny little H, and that's all you got to
do. All right. Love it. Love it. All right. Well, safe travels, sir. For me, so yes, when you guys are hearing this, my seminar will actually be starting about the same time. So I'm not going to share that one, the Uncommon Mindset, Uncommon Results. But tomorrow, based on when you're hearing this, Cutting Through the Noise, Finding Success in the Wild West of DTF is happening on October 4th at 9 a.m. And I get to interview a panel of DTF experts. I'll certainly share what I know as well. And we'll talk about cutting through that noise. And so I've got Rob Super, the president of American Print Supply. He's been in this for quite a while and actually got into the business because he was sold a piece of equipment and said there's got to be a better way. And decided to get into it. Another gentleman named Dan Frank, who has got a very successful, very large DTF business out in Reno, Nevada. And then we're also going to have Dane Clement from Stalls, our resident art guy. And actually, funny enough, I was talking to him today. We printed some samples for him for his seminar today. And he's like, "Oh man, I knew it was going to be good, but you guys ran that extended color gamut stuff for me on that one sample. It was the most killer thing I've ever seen." So
nice.
Looking forward to getting his take on how do you find success in the Wild West of DTF, especially when it comes to your artwork as well. So Looking forward to that. And then Printing United, as Cassie mentioned, we're in Expo month here. So happening October 22nd through the 24th. And if you want to get registered for that for free, you just head over to printinganited.com/attend, and you can use the code 141404. And I know we're not going to have a banner for it, but if you would like to use the code 2RG25, that one would work as well. So I forgot we've got several codes here. So whoever you want to support. And then I will be teaching 3 sessions there, hosting and emceeing media day. I know I'm going to have to sleep for about a week afterwards, but it will be well worth it. And I can't wait for Printing United coming up here in Orlando. So finally, Terry, how about you?
All right. Well, when I go into witness protection, Rob Super, that's going to be my name. I'm going to borrow that from him. That's
okay.
an awesome
right.
name.
I'll let him know.
Clearly, we're all here at Impressions Expo in Dallas through Saturday. So I'll be in the Equipment Zone booth. If you're going to come to the show, come by and say hello. I also will be with the other boys at Printing United, October 22nd through 24th. My last screen printing class of the year will be in Chicago with Atlas Screen Supply, November 1st and 2nd. Cool. You can sign up for that at atlasscreensupply.com and watch for all my upcoming events at terrycombs.com.
Awesome.
I'm done. How about some secret sauce, Aaron?
Let's do it. I'm ready to go. We'll get it in there quick. And thanks for a great show, you guys. But let's do the sauce. There we go. All right. Hey there, rock stars. Let's go ahead and cut straight to it. One of the heaviest weights in your business isn't the lack of sales. It isn't competition. It isn't even your to-do list, right? Your overwhelm. It is the word should, right? We need to stop shoulding on ourselves. And I'm not cursing, as we mentioned. You know, the statements that maybe are going on in your head, like, I should be further along. I should be making more. I should be like them across the way, right? I should be like my neighbors. We think that these shoulds are helpful, right? Where they're inspirational and they sound motivational even, but really they're anchors for us. They pile on pressure, they create comparison, and they really just leave you feeling stuck or burned out. I know because I've been there. I remember telling myself, I should already be more successful. I should have figured it out. I should be a business coach like this person, right? And every time I said that, it stole joy from my work. It just really held me back, and it blinded me to opportunities that were already there. In fact, until I let go of the shoulds, the opportunities that showed up for me with American Print Supply would have never been there. But here's the truth, right? Here's what I'd learned to be true. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're not failing. You're exactly where you're meant to be today. You can choose what tomorrow looks like, right? So here is my challenge for you guys. Just catch it. Start looking for the word should. It's funny, once you start doing this, and I have to watch myself because sometimes people are like, why are you doing this? But I'll catch people and I'll say something. I'll be like, oh, no, you shouldn't have done that. You did exactly what you were supposed to do. You could do something different next time, right? So that's what I want you to do. Start looking for that word should, catch it, and then replace it with the truth, right? For example, instead of saying I should be like them, say I'm building my own path, right? In my timing. Instead of saying I should be making more, maybe try I'm grateful for where I'm at and I'm building in a more sustainable way. Just think about the juxtaposition of the way those two statements were shared. Think about where you're going to get more value, where you're going to be able to do more from, right? In that I should or I could, and I'm doing it, right? And that feeling of holding yourself accountable to it, right? So the real sauce is this. Uncommon mindsets are going to create uncommon results for you. And so when you stop living under the weights of shoulds and start living from clarity and truth, you're not only growing your business, you're actually enjoying it again. So what's a should you're ready to let go of, right? Write it down, put it in the comments here, take that weight off and watch what you happen, right? Maybe just share the should, and I'm happy to get into the comments and give you some alternatives. Think about it differently. But I want you to take that weight off your shoulders. Watch what would happen when you trade that should for compassion and clarity. So that is your secret sauce for today. All right. Thank you. All right. Well, if you guys have any shoulds, let's get rid of them. All right. So,
yeah, okay. I don't exactly want to jump out and say I should on myself all the time. It sounds a little too rough for me, but well, I definitely have to look at this a little harder myself, man. That one, I feel called out.
Yeah, I apologize. And the funny part about all these things, right? People feel called out, and then I go, well, I'm really just talking to myself, but okay.
I love it.
All right. Well, thanks, you guys. This has been a great show. Really awesome time. Thank you for making it happen. Let's make sure that I see you guys in person here shortly. But we have come to the close of another show, guys. I really appreciate you.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
And Eric, thank you so much for being here with us, bud. We appreciate you.
I appreciate it.
Yep. We appreciate you pushing the buttons and, as Terry would say, turning the dials, right, Terry?
Exactly right. We appreciate you.
Right. I wish I had dials.
Yeah. Can we get, never
Can I get dials?
I'm going to do
anyway.
Inappropriate. And we got to close this out before it gets off the rails further. All right. Next week, you guys, yes, it is that time of year. It is Reggie season. So we will be announcing the award categories. So if you guys are hearing this and you have any suggestions, any updates, any thoughts about categories, now is the time, right? Let's get in front of it. We've talked a little bit about it. We feel pretty confident where things are at. We might even tighten them up a little bit, but the reality is these are your award shows. So let us know. info@tworegularguys.com is a great way to get in touch with us, but we'll be announcing those. And then I will probably be sharing a little bit more uncommon mindset stuff. It's something I've been working on a lot lately. And so I think we will have some time after the categories that I can share a little bit of that. So going to be a great week next week, gentlemen.
Awesome. Until then, I'm Terry Combs. He's Aaron Montgomery. He's Eric Campbell.
Yes. And that was, you guys, that was the Two Regular Guys.
Here we go. We're out.
Awesome.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Two Regular Guys. We're here because of listeners like you, and we're so grateful to have you on this journey with us. For more valuable insight, be sure to visit our website, 2regularguys.com, and join the conversation on our Facebook page. And hey, if you or someone you know has expertise, a unique perspective, or a story worth sharing, we'd love to have them as a guest on the show. Just reach out. Remember, success in this industry isn't just about the equipment you own or the techniques you've mastered. It's about the mindset you bring and the connections you build. Keep learning, stay curious, and don't be afraid to think differently. Keep pressing on, and we'll catch you on the next episode of the Two Regular Guys.